Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Harry Fuller, a member of the Rogue Valley chapter of the Audubon Society. Harry, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Good to be here.
So we're not talking about German roadways. What is the Audubon Society?
Well, the Audubon Society is an organization that works on bird study, just enjoying birds in the field, and gets involved in conservation issues as they affect birds and bird life.
And now you guys just recently did your count, is that correct?
Yes, every year Audubon societies across the country and now organizations, bird organizations across the world do Christmas bird counts sometime between December 15th and January 5th.
Okay, now forgive me, it's a little cold outside.
Oh,
the last thing I want to do is go outside and stand still quietly.
Very
of
cold.
all things. Why this year? Or why this time of year?
Well, it got started historically because back around the turn of the last century in 1900 when the first one was held, it was tradition at that point that men and boys would get guns for Christmas and they'd take them out and shoot every bird they could find. And people who were starting to notice that species were disappearing and that birds were far fewer in number decided it might be good to do a little public counting of birds without destroying any. So they started really as a conservation move. But over the years, as it spread and become more and more organized, and there are more and more counts that go on year after year, it's a really useful conservation and science tool because you can track what's happening to different bird populations across the country.
Now, did you find anything interesting in your bird counts this last month?
Well, we had a couple of unusual birds. There was a white pelican here in Medford. That's a bird that normally goes south to someplace where the water doesn't freeze. But we've had a pretty warm fall, so this guy just stuck around. He was out at Agate Lake. And we found a rusty blackbird in Ashland, which is a bird you sort of associate with South Texas. So he's 1,000 miles or 15 miles away from home. Those kinds of things do happen. Overall, the trend is showing that more birds are staying further north now with global warming. A lot of birds that used to go, say, to the Gulf of Mexico or Southern California are now turning up 400 to 500 miles north of where they would have been 50 years ago.
Now, how do you count these birds? I mean, are you tagging these birds?
No, it's all visual count. And you divide a count circle, which is 15 miles across, into areas, and you send a team into each area. And the idea is to count individual members of each species as well as how many different kinds of birds. So we end up with a total number, so many thousand birds seen, and then they break down into robins and blackbirds and crows and red-tailed hawks and whatever the other species are.
Pretty cool. Nice. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll have much more with Harry in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Harry Fuller, a member of the Rogue Valley chapter of the Audubon Society. So, Harry, are there counts going on all across the region this time of year?
Yes, there are. They're not always the same date, but as I said, after December 15th, Grants Pass has one. There are a couple in the Klamath Basin, one centered in Klamath Falls. There's one in Wairika. There's one in Medford, of course, every year, and one in Ashland now.
Okay, so, and you participated in the Medford National?
Yes, I did.
Okay, now how many birds do you find in a count?
Well, the Medford count this year had 123. We had 120 in Ashland, and both Grants Pass and Klamath Falls both had about 100.
Okay, all right. Now, what's the most common bird we might find
Well,
here
some
in
of the really
Oregon, at least?
common birds in Jackson County, American robins this year, quite plentiful. Canada geese, of course. Wherever there's a golf course, you're going to find some Canada geese.
Sure.
Lots of starlings. Dark-eyed juncos, which is a little gray sparrow that comes down out of the mountains, is quite common. This year there were a lot of siskins. And we had a large number of varied thrush, which is a beautiful orange and black bird. Some years they're quite rare here, but this year we had over 200 just in Ashland.
Okay, now, obviously, we just missed the count.
Yes.
We're in the last couple of weeks. But does the club meet year-round, or what do you guys do?
Yeah, the Audubon societies are active year-round, and if anybody wants to get involved in a Christmas count, you don't have to be an expert. We welcome beginners. We welcome people to come along who just want to learn about birding. And a lot of times people will go to areas where they don't live and bird with the locals there, and they get to learn about birds in that area. So it's a good way, even if you are a birder, to go someplace where you don't live and learn a little bit about that area. And the Audubon societies, most of them have websites, so you can look up the website for the local Audubon society where you are or where you want to go and find out about the Christmas count that way.
Very cool. Harry, thanks for coming.
You're
welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.